All right, we're live, and we edit this, Jacob. So
Yeah,
Awesome.
and if you let like a shit or a fuck slip, like you're good. I swear all the time. That's part of our charm as
Might hear a
sailors
few
in the
beeps
boating
in there.
community.
Yep.
No beeps. No. We're on it on that portion. We're on it. Our guys love it, man. They
I guess it's not public broadcast, so
yeah. It's good. It's good. All right, guys. Welcome to another amazingly awkward episode of the Awkward Watersports Guys. It's your buddy Kevin, and I am joined, of course, with my awkward co-host Greg. Greg, how you doing, man? Yo,
Great.
He's cool as shit with that deep voice. Wow, where did that thing come from? Holy moly!
I feel like me
that's
being here is just awkward because I'm not in the boating industry. So
absolutely, let's go. And that voice, guys, is of a guy by the name of Jacob Rigor. And Jacob, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing fantastic today.
Awesome. I'm not going to intro you. I'm going to let you go ahead and intro yourself. Tell these fine people what it is that you do. I know you wear a couple different hats, and let us know a little bit about you. What do you do?
Yeah, so I am a certified RV technician, and I started a mobile RV repair service, and through that experience of helping people get their campers fixed, I found that at least a quarter of the repairs I was doing were completely preventable, and people kept asking me for resources on how they could better maintain their RVs and take care of them. So I ended up making a tool-free RV maintenance course that I sell. And I launched a YouTube channel to start promoting that product and generally educating people about RV maintenance and how to avoid expensive repairs. And the channel's just blown up so quickly. I just hit 43,000 subscribers in the past 8 months. And I ended up, the number one question I kept getting from people was, what RV should I buy? You know, you're talking about all these problems and things, systems to avoid, but what should I buy? So I ended up making a RV shopping course for people, that there's an ebook that they can read to educate on my opinion about different systems and what's good and what's bad, you know, different appliances, what air conditioners to get or to avoid, et cetera. And then I made a grading app that goes with that where people can use the mobile web app on their smartphone to grade an RV they're looking at buying to get an instant score in my scoring system. And then along with that data goes into a database accompanied with all the 100 plus RVs that I've graded in the database, so that when you buy the shopping course, you can look at the database to kind of get a sense of what you're looking for or what to avoid, as well as access to the app. So that's now my full-time gig. I've actually quit doing any RV repair work and am a full-time YouTuber.
Yeah, man. I will say, I bought your course. I read your book twice before I bought my RV. And I know you guys out there in watersport world are probably asking yourselves, like what the hell does this have to do with water sports? Well, firstly, it's like all transparency. I just wanted free advice from Jacob. No, we talk a lot about tech on this show too, right? So believe it or not, in the water sports world, there's a lot of tech. There's a lot of like what's next we have a conference and we talk a lot about all these different marketing tools and different tactics and creating community and network. And I took this and I was just like, man, like, not that I plan on spinning it up because I'm just like a dummy boat captain guy who rents boats and stuff. I'm not, I'm not doing any technology. I'm all set on that. But I was like, man, this would be awesome for boats. And like, I just think like maybe your story and kind of like your journey, how you kind of fell about this. I don't know. Maybe somebody listens to this. Maybe you love boating. I don't know that about you. Maybe you love jet skis and you're like, you know what, man, I'm spinning this up for boats and jet skis next. But
that thought has crossed my mind.
You should, man. You should. I'm not, like I said, I think it's such a great tool and a great approach because you have guys that, have 30, 50, 100 jet skis and the constant. Now we don't have as many brands on the jet ski side. It's like Sea-Doo or Yamaha, right? But on the boat side, oh my God, there's so many different types of boats and obviously types of boat brands and maintenance schedules and different ways that people do this stuff. And then also I wanted to get into a little bit of the the RV share aspect of it a little bit. I know that's not like, it's not your hustle, but I definitely want to get your opinion. So how long have you been in the RV business?
Coming up on 6 years. So
That's awesome.
yeah, that prior to that, I grew up on a farm fixing things my whole life. I've been rebuilding truck engines since I was 16. And then doing construction, remodeling, and then a maintenance job that had a bunch of RVs on property was where I first started entering into the world of RVs probably 8 years ago. And I worked for 2 years under a master certified RV technician, starting to learn about RVs, and decided to get certification as an RV technician while I was there. And then when my wife's job took us to another city, I decided to start a mobile service working independently. Part of the hard thing, like from my perspective as a technician who's pretty skilled at fixing things, is that to go and get a job at a dealership, the pay sucks.
Ain't that the truth?
And that's honestly what drove me to be self-employed and run a mobile repair business. Was it was much easier, financially and time-wise on my family. And yeah, so it's just in the industry in general, like, and I'm sure that the boating industry is the same way, that like to be a boat technician, like you have to, especially like on really complicated yachts that have lots and lots of systems on them, electrical, plumbing, I wind up having to be good at about 5 different professions rolled into one. And that's part of the challenge in the RV industry, is that getting technicians from like no knowledge to being really skilled at being able to repair a variety of problems takes years and years and years and years of training and experience. So, the way it works in the RV world is it's really hard to get good service, unfortunately, because technicians are in high demand and short supply.
Yeah, it was funny when I bought mine, like the kid, I had gone through, I talked to like 3 separate techs, and he was available when I wanted to go into the dealership, and he kind of spoke the same language as me. And then there was another guy getting his done. This guy had like a fucking camera on his chest. He was doing it remote. He was like, had some temperature thing for the walls. And my guy was just like, you know what I mean? Like knocking, he's like, yeah, it looks good. And I'm like, I want that guy. Like what that guy looks like. He's got like, you know what I mean? Like he's got all sorts of, he's checking every thing, and my guy's just like just started his business, and so I'm like, I always willing to give somebody a chance, and like the hungry guy or whatever. But the kid, like compared to the guy next door, I was like, oh my god, man, it's just it's super interesting. But it's something I said to Greg that I learned from watching your channel and you're watching your content, and I don't think that most people understand. And this is the same side on boats and buying them commercially, especially when you're renting them. A lot of times you're buying multiple. So you just don't buy. So we do boaters education as well. And I just talked to a guy who's buying like 50 jet ski cars, right? It's like relatively new product, but he's not buying 1. He's not buying 5. He's buying 50, right? And so same thing. I buy boats 10 at a time. And I think what a lot of people don't understand is they get hung up on brands. And it wasn't even something that like I really even thought about in the boating industry until I got done purchasing the RV, is that it really comes down to the actual unit itself. I mean, right? This is like your kind of your...
Yeah. So there's, the automotive industry is quite a bit different than the RV industry because there's a lot more quality control and consistency in how they make things.
Yeah.
In the RV world, it's a whole lot easier for a startup company just to slap something together and sell it. And they can be really good at marketing, but not so good at actually making a product that's reliable. So it's in my experience, is a less regulation in how RVs are built that results in bad customer experience a lot. So it's, I'm sure you saw this in the book. I have a chapter about plumbing systems, and there's a particular type of plumbing attachment that is common in the RV industry. I don't know if they do this in the marine industry, but it creates leaks all the time. And so any RV that has that type of bad plumbing, I give an automatic F grade to, because I'm like, this just needs to not exist. I wish they had more quality control like the automotive industry does, but unfortunately it's kind of like the wild, wild west in RV manufacturing.
Yeah,
So I would suspect that with things like jet skis, it's probably harder for a small independent manufacturer to make jet skis. But when you get to bigger boats, it's probably going to be more common. And this is, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, probably more common that you have some small independent boat manufacturer wanting to make yachts or something like that, and it not be as consistent of a product as some of the bigger manufacturers.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't have yacht money just yet, so I can't really attest to that personally. But I looking at RVs, I did see a lot of similarities. Like there's in our market in North Florida, it's mostly pontoons that get rented, and those things are slapped together. And so for all the most of the connections, it's always going to be not crimp fittings like you would plumbing, but oh my God,
Push
I'm
to
blanking.
connect.
No,
PTC.
not even. No.
Really?
Yeah, just hose clamps.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I think a standard hose clamps that you tighten. And I bought brand new jet skis where it didn't have the hose. So oddly enough, like my father was a plumber, my grandfather was a plumber. So like the whole PEX thing like really spoke to me. The way that they use PEX crimp fittings on hose connections. I was like, yeah, 100%. That's a bad deal. You don't want to do that. But so for jet skis, it's all the time. You'll get something that has not been clamped down properly. You have a hose full, and then you have salt water filling up your ski. The most commonly dumb thing that people do is there's literally a plug on the back of a ski. That's where you dump your water. And like if we're selling you skis, we have the plugs out so there's catching no rainwater, and we let them know like, make sure you screw this plug in. And then sure as hell, they'll go out in the thing, and the next thing you know, they're sinking a jet ski because their drain plug's not plugged in, and it's something small and stupid like that.
Well, I can imagine with that kind of deal, if it's left in too much and you got too much water sitting in places it shouldn't sit, that can cause problems as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to touch on something that I thought was pretty interesting because, it's like you're a disruptor, right? It seems like. And I saw one of your videos where you said that like somebody was trying to buy out your channel like right when you got started and you had like 5,000 subs.
Yeah.
They
kind of saw the handwriting on the wall. It was so I had been just talking about things I liked and didn't like about RV systems, slide out systems, etc. But then I made a video saying that I was going to start reviewing RVs and telling people which RVs I thought were quality and which ones were to be avoided. And that's when I got the phone call and the job offer.
Wow.
At first they were like, hey, we want to collaborate with you. And I'm like, okay, I don't really, I'm not sure what that would look like. I think what I actually told him is I wasn't ready to do any kind of collaboration yet. And he texted me back saying, let me be more clear. We want to offer you a full-time salaried position to come YouTube for us. And I'm like, that didn't really make sense of where I was at as a YouTuber with so few subscribers. But like I said, I think they saw the handwriting on the wall and knowing that like I was going to start de-influencing a lot of the RVs sitting in their inventory or the lines that they're manufacturing trying to sell, and that would leave them in a tough spot. So yeah, it's unfortunately there's a lot of kind of drama in the YouTube world. There's another YouTuber who's been just telling people stories, their horror stories of trying to get their RVs serviced after they buy it. And that YouTuber has been, publishing the names of particular dealerships and their service experience. And she recently got a cease and desist letter from Lippert Components, who is a manufacturer of a lot of components on RVs. Demanding that she take down a couple of videos that were talking negatively about the frames that they make for RVs. Like it's a multi-billion-dollar industry, so it doesn't surprise me at all that if stories like she's telling and if opinions like I'm giving about RVs is hurting sales, like they're going to be aggressive in doing something to manage that PR crisis.
Jacob, what inspired you to start the YouTube channel? Is this something that you just saw a need or is there any certain event that said, wow, like, okay, I'm going to do this? Because it just sounds like something that, kind of like what Kevin and I, we saw a need to talk about the industry and the issues we face as operators, but like, kind of what inspired you to do that?
It really started with seeing the need for a maintenance course for people to help them avoid breaking their RV. Mm-hmm. Like I mentioned earlier, many repairs that I do are completely preventable. Sometimes it's not even maintenance that you have to go out of your way to do, but just how you're using your RV that breaks it. Mm-hmm. And so probably 40% of the tips that I teach in my course are just usage based. You don't even have to do anything extra. So in making that course, I'm like, I want to help RVers get the most out of their RV experience, which involves educating them of how to not break their RV. And I started the YouTube channel really just to promote that product and to promote the idea that you can do more preventive maintenance instead of, because a lot of the RV technicians in the YouTube space are just talking about how to fix things that did break. I'm like, well, if you could have avoided breaking it, then like, wouldn't it be better to just not be in that situation?
So did you had the idea for the course initially before you even started the YouTube channel?
Correct. Initially, I was not going to start a YouTube channel. I was going to make a course and then just pay for ads online. And happened to have a good friend who is in the like YouTube advertising space and knows about YouTube channels. And she was like, no, don't do that. You're going to waste a ton of money. So to date, I have actually spent $0 on advertising. I'm just have a YouTube channel to show people what the possibilities are.
So jealous when people say things like that. When you're like, I spend no money on marketing, and I'm like, oh God, man, I feel like Google has like my entire life savings. You know, like if I had all the money I gave to Google for advertising, like I would. I don't know. I'd probably be smarter, or like, you know, because like when you're like, if somebody came and like offered to buy out this podcast, like I'd wear their, if it was NASCAR, let's say, I'd wear a NASCAR shirt. I'd be like, wear NASCAR in the background. I'd be like, here you go.
I've actually turned down every single collaboration, like promo sponsorship deal that I've been offered.
Wow.
And the reason for that is that I want to build credibility with my audience, that what they're hearing is my unbiased, honest opinion. Not anything that's been influenced by dollars that have been put in my bank account. So just on principle, like I think I have a product that is valuable to people. I mean, like you said at the beginning of the podcast, you used it, you thought it was great. I think that if it's actually valuable to people, then I want to promote that, but I don't want to do so in a way that's going to ruin my credibility as, you know, giving my honest opinions. So yeah, just on principle, I don't do sponsorship deals.
I will say, man, like I watched quite a few YouTubers and guys that were seemingly, I felt like, honest and credible, and were putting out a lot of content, but there still was like a little, like a friend of mine, we always call it like being a dirty marketer, right? Like I still kind of felt like just a little bit, I'm like, there's a little bit of stink of dirty marketer still on this because you're selling them, right? Like, and I get that, but I'm like, for this guy, it's like, he's really selling himself, right? So he's kind of like the antithesis of the industry a little bit. So he's got no dog in the fight insofar as like saying like, I think this is a great brand, or, you know, there's been really none of that. It's always like, no, it comes down to the unit.
My sponsors are people like you.
Yeah.
You're one of my channel sponsors, because in you buying my product, you're giving me the financial freedom to not have to go do jobs like doing repair work so I can focus on YouTube content. You're giving me the financial freedom to not have to look for like eTrailer.com reached out to me being like, hey, we want to do some branding deal with you. And I'm like, no, thanks. But I can only do that because of customers like you who buy my product. So I'm very open about how I make money. I sell courses. I've got the tool-free RV maintenance course and then the RV shopping course. And then I get a tiny amount of money off of Amazon affiliate links commissions, because there's products that I definitely recommend. like
you got
surge
all the
protectors.
affiliate links, I'm like, I'm like, man, I'll buy them. I'm like, there's so many affiliate links, like not that, like, you know what I mean? Not that I don't like all the stuff that you say to, like, you know, I'm like, man, yeah, I'm gonna like buy all this shit. I haven't got that far in the tool-free maintenance course, but I need a backup camera. You got an affiliate backup camera link for me? I'm in, dude. I'm fully bought in. I didn't even take you at the discounted course price of $60. I bought it for the full 75.
Well, thank you.
Jacob, do you have
exist anymore, by the way?
So Jacob, when people take your course, how do you keep them as a customer? Is there any other than your Amazon affiliate? Like, is it just a one and done type opportunity?
So shopping course is actually 1 year of access to the database and the app and the ebook. I mean, you can download the ebook and keep it. But if you want to use the grading app, then after 1 year, you would want to renew that subscription. But most people are going to have shopped for and bought what they're buying in a year.
Yeah.
But maybe 2 or 3 years down the road, they want to buy a different RV. So then they would want to, buy the shopping course again, so they have access to the updated database and the app for grading whatever RV they're looking at. But
your courses are you constantly updating the courses, the material as you learn more?
Yeah.
About okay. So I understand. Yeah. So it's fear if you're someone who is buying an RV. I mean, how often do people buy RVs? Is it a once in a lifetime purchase or every 10 years?
It depends on the person.
Depends on the person. Yeah.
I've had customers that bought an RV 20 years ago and they're still happy with it. And then other people that they're on their 6th or 7th RV and they just, every few years they go get something different. So it varies a lot.
So,
for people who have bought an RV, then I have the tool-free RV maintenance course. I'm actually going to be making several more courses this year. One of them is going to be a real small course that's just, understanding solar systems and what you want. Because like a lot of times when people buy solar for their RV, they end up either underbuying and they don't get equipment that actually serves their purpose and they're frustrated with it, or they get sold a bunch of stuff they didn't really need by enthusiastic salesman and they end up spending tons of money on a solar system that's way too much and they're just not actually going to use it. So I'm going to make a mini course that's like, if you're shopping for solar, like take this course. It'll help you understand your requirements and what you're going to need in order to have a system that works well and doesn't cost you more than it should. So it's going to save people money either way. If they take the course and decide like, oh, solar isn't going to do what I need it to do, they just saved a ton of money by buying my course and not getting a solar system. Or by getting one that's beefy enough to suit their requirements, they avoid the frustration of it not working, or they avoid overbuying. So I see it as like a win-win-win, whether you buy, don't buy, or, just learning to shop right. So that's an example of another product that after people have done my shopping course and they buy an RV, that may be another product that they want to buy.
Let me switch corners in. I know this is not like your full area of expertise, but you presumably have enough experience with RVs. I mean, like in a word, because I'm sure we have a bunch of listeners out here, like a lot of our guys are like me and have a couple different businesses that they're into. And initially I was like, man, like I might consider renting this thing out. Now obviously there's some, you have to watch it there with both, just like RVs. If you buy something and you put it out on the street commercially, and your insurance, they find out you're doing it on a 20-year loan, you're trying to keep your payment low, they're going to cancel your insurance if you buy something for recreational purposes and use it for commercial purposes and try to make money out of it. Can you speak to that? Like, you presumably own an RV.
I do, but I don't rent it out, and I haven't explored that side of the business. I did actually contemplate starting a whole RV rental business, because part of the challenge in running that is when customers break your RV, you get it back on Friday. It's supposed to go out again on Sunday or Monday, and it's got, the water heater doesn't work now. Mm-hmm. The next person's going to have a terrible experience unless you can get it fixed rapidly.
Yeah,
That's
you
why
can't find I mean, I remember when I grew up, all our vacations were on RV. And all I remember is my dad fixing the generator, stopping at Camping World 100 times. You know, it's just literally like so. I mean, the fact renting an RV out, I can understand. Not that it can't be solved for, but I would imagine you need to really have the resources lined up that if there is a breakdown, that you can get someone there immediately to fix it, so it can turn around. Or you need a fleet of them.
And that's where me being a independent mobile technician, I kind of specialized in rapid service. You know, like I had a customer who was driving through town and he took a wrong turn and went under a bridge that was about 2 inches lower than the height of his air conditioner on top of his RV, going about 70 miles an hour. And it just obliterated the AC. And so he calls me up, and I was in the middle of a job that day, but I was able to get an air conditioner set out on the dock from my wholesaler before 5, you know, and then I went by and picked it up and went and fixed his RV after hours. And within about 4 hours from when he damaged his RV, I had him back on the road. So those are the kinds of things that I was able to do as a mobile technician that you typically don't get that kind of service at a dealership. If you find a mobile service center, I'm sorry, not mobile, your best bet is to find an independent service technician who will agree to prioritize repairs when you need them quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe you pay them extra for priority service. Like a lot of shops don't actually do that, which is kind of weird to me, because I'm like, from a business model, like people will pay a lot more for rapid repairs, you know? So, but yeah, where was I going? You were asking
if you're
about
renting it out, if you're renting if you're renting it out, and I think you're just speaking to like, well, if you're, let's just say, a newbie in the RV world and you buy it and you're like, yeah, I want to rent this sucker out. Like, what's going to happen when it's in Tempe, Arizona, and you know somebody's ripped the air conditioning off or the heater's gone or there's a leak in the plumbing? Like, that's a pretty scary moment there if you're doing the whole thing. And then I got.
Okay, I'll try to not fidget with that anymore.
Okay, you're good.
No, you're all right, man.
So from the insurance question, I believe that you can get specific RV rental insurance through like Allstate for your RV if you're renting it out.
And
I haven't actually looked into that, but
right.
I have had people tell me that.
I would imagine though that like that would change the terms of your loan. Like when I went to Camping World and we initially thought about it, because I rented one out and it was like $5,000 or something like that. I got like a Class C and we did the northeast. We went up to Maine, and I was like, man, immediately I think of like top line revenue, right? I'm like $5,000 for a week, you know, but then I started thinking about that. I get a call at 11 o'clock at night for a repair, and I don't have the infrastructure. No, like so to wit, like me and my wife left for the weekend. I bought the thing, I put it at our shop, and it's like I know battery switches. I'm such an idiot, and I left it on. And I can't even remember like what it was, how I realized that I left. Oh, as we were leaving, I stopped by to show my wife something, and I left the battery switch on, and it was dead. And I was like, well, I don't want it to be dead, so I called my manager who does like all of our maintenance on our boats. And I'm like, hey man, can you go run and throw a trickle charger on my RV battery? Like I totally noobed it and left the battery switch on, probably took 10% of life off the battery. But it's like to your point, like if you don't have a staff or you don't have connections with RV techs or some type of, you're going by oh my God, like a service, you know, send them over to Camping World, the service department. Like, awesome, you're going to extend your vacation by about fucking a month.
Like I said, I got a lot of calls to fix RVs that were being rented, you know, and was able to help get them back on the road and get a repair rapidly, which made the people renting it happy. But it's harder to deal with for the business people owning the RV, getting it serviced out of state like that.
So if it were up to you, let's just say you weren't, I in my heart know it's not a nice thing to ask, but I want to know how many courses you've sold. Like it is the business guy in me that is like, man, because like nobody in these groups is like
not enough. Honestly, it's
dude. I've been pitching.
I struggle every day with
girls. They don't know you. They don't know you in the groups. So there's a couple RV beginners that is like 300,000 people, and obviously they have a sponsored product by the groups. And I'm not like, I'm like, hey, hit me in your DMs, because so many people have so many questions. I'm like, dude, go buy this guy's course for $60 or $75 because he literally breaks down everything that, like, all these questions you need to ask, whether it be grand design or sport trek or X, Y, or Z. It's like, man, all the questions that you have that you're not going to get a solid answer, like, unless you find a good service manager, which I met at Camping World. I almost bought the thing from Camping World just because of the service manager, because he was so straight up with me. And I went in there later to go buy a product, and then he's like, oh, did you buy an RV yet? I'm in the process of right now. And he was like, don't buy the warranty. And I was like, that's exactly why I wanted to buy this thing from fucking you guys. But the same thing. He's like, but if you ever have a problem, he's like, bring it over to me. Like, even without a warranty, he's like, you know, he did the math. He said X, Y, and Z. You're going to still end up paying a deductible plus X, you know, this and that. And he was just like, I like the service tech. So if I ever have a problem, I got my guy over there. You know what I mean? But
no, I got the same opinion about those add-on warranties.
Yeah.
You know, it's really hard to find a non-biased resource that, like what Jacob's service is offering, that can tell you unequivocally what things to look for and what's best, because everyone, there's always somebody. I mean, even on our show, I mean, Kevin runs a boaters test. I run a reservation software. I'm biased to my reservation software to some degree, you know. Kevin's not. We're not. So but it's really, really hard. And I respect you for being, staying true to your concept of just not taking sponsors. You can give people like an unbiased, look. So, and it's really hard to find for anything you're buying, boats, reservation software, any tech out there. It's just really hard to find someone that can tell you, okay, here's what to look for and what not to, because everyone's always tied to some type of product.
Well, on the warranty side of it, it wasn't a hard sell for me, because I mean, I currently have 30 boats in my fleet and 15 skis. It's a commercial warranty on our engine, Yamaha, Mercury, it doesn't matter. It's 1 year. You know how many times the dealer's been like, yeah, we'll honor that? Fucking zero, man. And so I'm like, when the guy at the dealership quoted me for I was like, I'm just like, you have so many pamphlets here. I'm just interested. If I bought all these pamphlets, how much would it cost? And he was like, oh, like around 13 grand. And then I laughed and he laughed and we all laughed together. Right?
That's fund for repairs.
I would tell people. It's like, just fire.
Budget. Yeah, just budget for repairs. Like, and you know, the other weird deal is that I find myself advocating people buy used RVs almost more than new RVs, because like if you buy a new RV, like I had a guy who's wanting to full time in his RV, and I was like, don't buy a new one, because good luck getting anything taken care of under the 1 or even 2 year warranty if you go with something like a Jaco. It's like if you're trying to full time in it, you can't take it into the shop and let it sit there for 3 months or 6 months. Like, you know, if you need a repair, you want to be able to just pay cash out of pocket and get it taken care of quickly. So save money. Don't buy a new one, buy a used one, and just save money for repairs is my attitude. But
yeah.
In what situation would you recommend someone buy a new RV?
Yeah. The challenge with getting warranty work done is if you're traveling a lot, when breakage happens, it's going to be a while. So if you take it out a couple of times a year for a week or two, but most of the time you've got time in the year to have it go through the warranty process and get things fixed, then, you know, the timing is not going to be as bad as if you want to spend 6 months out of the year on the road. Mm-hmm. You know, if someone's buying a new RV and they're going to be on the road for 6 months out of the year, then like they're almost guaranteed to have the kind of break that puts them in the shop for too long, and now they're just staying in a hotel, you know?
Yeah.
Greg, you know what the most interesting thing was is that, so the dealership that I bought mine through, when I looked at the reviews, right? So in our industry, Jacob, like like reviews are everything. And it's probably every industry, but we really drive it hard in tourism. And because it's like people buy in reviews because they're buying within a very short amount of time, right? So they're 24,
they're inherently
72
going
hours.
somewhere where they don't know anyone.
100%.
So they go online to find out opinions. Yeah.
Yep. So when I was looking at the reviews, and I knew all the bitching was going to come from the service side, but it was, I mean, universally in agreement, every single one. I bought a new RV. I bought a new RV. I bought a new RV. Every 1-star and 2-star review was complaining about a brand new RV that they just bought that year. I mean, I was clockwork.
I was doing a consulting call with one of my clients yesterday, and I was telling him that exact thing because they just opened a new Lazy Days dealership here in town. And I was like, I wonder what their service is like for people. And same exact thing. All the 5-star reviews, happy campers who just bought their RV, all the 1 and 2-star reviews from people who had issues and tried to get it fixed. And yeah, complaining about technicians not knowing what's going on, complaining about them saying it was fixed and it wasn't actually fixed. And yeah, the whole
the tech that I had walk through mine. So I had my guy independent. It's your advice. And then I had the guy who they sent out. Yeah. I swear to God, this guy that they sent out, I go and I grab a hitch, and I actually didn't know, like, they didn't even try and sell me on a hitch. So I grabbed something because I have the 3-inch shaft. They didn't have a reducer. So I was like, they had a 5-inch drop at AutoZone. So I'm like, I have no idea. I just bought this truck. I bought the truck for the RV. I have no idea what it looks like hooked up. So I hooked it up, and 5-inch drop is obviously, it's an F350, and it was way too low. And like, I'm like the tech's like looking at me like, yeah, you're good to go. And I'm like, are you fucking nuts, dude? If I hit a pebble in this thing, the shaft on it would just disintegrate, man. Like, and I walked back in. I was like, hey, man, can you get me like anybody that knows like anything about RVs or hitching or towing or how to drive a car or how to spell his own fucking name? Because this guy doesn't know shit. So the next time I came back, they got me like their master service tech, and I was like, all right, like, because I had 2 guys that knew fuck all when I was standing out there.
There is just an overwhelming amount of technical information to be absorbed if you're going to be a technician and be able to answer all those questions.
So I never got a yes or no out of you. If somebody like me, that's like, if I was like, hey man, I'm going to buy this thing. It's my first RV and I'm going to go right in the commercial side and rent it. Like, yes or no, gun to your head. What would you say?
I'd say, yeah, just, you got to expect that it's going to be broken. You got to expect that, like, if you can't get it fixed quickly over the weekend, the next customer is going to be unhappy and leave you a bad review because the air conditioner didn't work or whatever. Or you have to start canceling reservations and scrambling to get it fixed. Like, if you don't have good service lined up that can take care of things quickly, like, it's hard. You really want to plan on rent it out for a week or 2 weeks and then make sure you block off time.
That's what I was going to say, is that you just can't turn it around. You can't turn around as much as you could like a car or a boat or something, just because, you got to keep these things moving. Well,
I know we're almost done, but I got to follow up on the entrepreneurial side. I got to ask. Okay. So if you're a guy and you're thinking about doing this, because like, so drivable, or you can go Airbnb this, a towable at your local place. Like, I think I'm like answering my own question, but I mean, which way would you go if you wanted to get in the commercial side?
I would do motorhomes.
Really?
Well,
why is that?
So if you buy a towable RV and you want to rent it out, you now have to make sure that the renters have the appropriate tow vehicle and that they know how to back a trailer.
No, I mean sitting at, like, you spin up a deal with
moving.
Correct. Yeah. At like
literally
an RV park.
Airbnb-ing it.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I have a good friend that does that. They got a little pop-up and they rent it, and then when someone rents it, they book a campsite and they park it for them.
It. Yeah.
Yeah, they park it for them, and they just basically go there and Yeah, it's a little hustle.
It's my dream. It's my dream to buy an RV park, dude. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, well, it really is, man. It takes
There's
like a
less issues. There's less issues with that model than if people are towing the vehicle around.
Well, so, Kevin, there's an association, an RV park association, that I actually went to because I was gonna buy an RV park maybe 4 or 5 years ago.
Really?
You had an opportunity. Jason from Extreme H2O. We went. It was in Daytona Beach, the event. But yeah, they have an association. It's really cool. I mean, it's a very close knit association. And I don't know if it's just the U.S. It's been a while since I've been to it, but yeah, they were so helpful. Just a bunch of RV park owners.
I saw a guy that turns them around and would flips them, does like owner financing, goes to somebody who's ready to retire and thinks piss poor marketed. They don't have all of the their operations put together, and then they go and I think, man, it just
a lot of them are going to need their infrastructure upgraded too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sure. But so final question. I do have one final one. So I got to ask you, because I got you on the show. I bought a sport track. Am I up Schitt's Creek or what?
I would have to go look up Sport Trek. That's the honest answer. There are so many thousands of RVs on the market. Like, I literally have people coming to me every day with emails and comments on YouTube being like, what do you think about this, that, or the other? And I'm like, I literally have never heard of Dune Sport toy haulers. So I go and look it up, and it's like, yeah, there are 5 for sale on RV Trader right now, because it's a very small independent manufacturer. I'm wanting to say Sport Trek is
Venture.
Yeah, I've looked at some Venture. Venture is owned by who? Keystone?
I think so. I took them to your course, man. I went through the thing. I did the inspection myself. I knew a little bit about plumbing. I will say that almost every unit on the thing had fucked up plumbing, like from Grand Design all the way down. Like every single unit had those PEX scrimps. But I feel confident. I own a couple set of PEX scrimpers, and I'm like, you know what, man? Like, I know it's like your Bible. You're like, no, but I'm like,
no.
I'll change it.
I recommend that people buy RVs with bad plumbing all the time that I would give an F grade to.
Right.
For example, Brinkley. Brinkley is a big, shiny new brand on the market, and they've been doing bad plumbing, but only a little bit, like just by the water pump or in the slide out. So my attitude is, if you know it could be a problem and you're keeping an eye on it, or better yet, you plan to preemptively have it replumbed, then you can have an A grade RV. So just because I give it an F for bad plumbing, because it should not exist. Like, you shouldn't have to replumb a new RV. That's ridiculous, But
I love your heart, man. Like I do.
If you love the floor plan and you want to buy it and deal with having to replumb it, then go for it.
Yeah. Well, anyone who just listens to this show knows my loathing of plumbing. I will do it if I have to. I'm probably not as good as I should be. But
I look at so many RVs that I have to keep it in a database with all the grades, because there's very few RVs I could tell you just off the top of my head exactly what the score was or whether I like it or not. There's so many variations also that you really that's the benefit of educating people when they're in the shopping process and giving them the app, is that they can see my system for how I grade things, even if I haven't been able to look at that RV in particular.
Well, hey, Jacob, we're right at the end of time here. I want to thank you for coming on the show. Anybody that has listened to all 100 and whatever 60 hours that we have out in the world knows that probably in the next 1 to 2 years I will probably be in the RV business in some component, because if I brought you on this show, you're not in the boat rental business. Awesome. I am interested in your business in some component. I now have bouncy houses, I have boat tests, I have car rentals, I have boat rentals. The only thing we haven't had a car rental guy on. I got to bring that guy on.
I'll tell you, Kevin, the reason why I was looking at RV parks is because I was just following the data, because we have a massive amount of baby boomers retiring, and they love RVs. So
you guys would have fucking crushed it during COVID too.
COVID also introduced a lot of new people to the RVing community.
Yeah, like boating too.
Yeah, people were looking for COVID-friendly activities they could do, and the industry just went bonkers.
Yeah,
it's kind of slowing down a little bit, but there's still just so many more people that have gotten into RVs that love it.
You got millions of baby boomers retiring every year right now, and they are looking for RVs, and they have money to spend too. It's actually a really good industry from both the rental commercial sales and
what
RV
I've heard
parks.
consistently over the past few years is that RV parks are hard to get reservations at a lot of times just because it's so full. So,
Yep.
And probably another
that.
episode for another time, but fuck, man. Like, speaking of COVID, like, there's like this thing where a lot of units built during COVID were built fucked up because of supply chain issues. Same thing with boats. Like, you couldn't find them. They were hard to get. Oh, yeah, man. We had so many problems from brand new boats built during COVID.
I had a guy comment that his Grand Design flooring was sagging, and he asked them why, and they were like, oh, yeah, we ran out of 3/4 inch plywood that day, so we put in 1/2 inch.
You gotta love it, man.
What? Like, you spec'd 3/4 inch
Well,
plywood, and then you just didn't?
Well, guys, if you had a great year this year and you're like going to go buy an RV, I would highly recommend buying Jacob's course. I thought the book was an excellent read. It was like 70 pages, easy to get through, super digestible, no fluff, no marketing bullshit. It's like straight to business. And I thought it was like of the most highest value that I got out of buying in this whole experience, like watching your content, reading your book, going through your course was like super fucking cool. I always have people say this to me, and I think it's fucking weird as fuck when they say it to me, but they're like, I feel like I know you. Watching all your content, I feel like I know you.
No, I appreciate that. I appreciate your kind words.
Man. And we appreciate
Glad I
you
could help
coming
you in
on.
that process.
Yeah.
How can people find you, man? Like, or buy your course? Like, plug away by all means.
Yeah. My main website is undercoverrvshopper.com. And my YouTube channel is Rigor RV Repair.
And if somebody wants to contact you directly for consulting services, which I hope is an arm and a leg, because it sounds like you're worth it.
Yeah. They can email me. Generally, I recommend people sign up for the course first because, like, a lot of the questions they would want to ask me are going to be answered in the RV shopping course. And then for people who have done the shopping course that still need a little bit of help figuring out what they're doing, what they're trying to get, that's where I offer consulting.
Great.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time. And guys, thank you for listening. As always, keep it awkward.